Welcome to Trade Machine After Dark.
I'm going to go over a couple of things and then I'm going to turn it over to Max. Disclaimers are the results here are provided for general information purposes as a convenience to you, the viewers. The materials are not a substitute for obtaining professional advice from a qualified person, firm, or corporation. This is not a solicitation to buy or sell any security ever. This is not advice. Past performance is not necessarily indicative of future results. So, for the most part, Max is going to have the floor. Right now, Jason is out on paternity leave through the end of February. So you're going to get a lot more Max for the next month or so. Sounds like Max has a trade that he wants to go over. So I'm going to hand it over to him and I will be here to help with questions.
Beautiful. Let's see if I can get Zoom to work. All right. So, share screen. Welcome, everybody. So, a lot of people have indicated that they like to see a quick review of a current or recent trade and how the trader arrived at their conclusions and what trade they put on. So today I was looking at my favorite trade, which is the pre-earnings 14-day diagonal, and I see the John Deere and John Deere not only on its own, but John Deere with the AI component, a stronger trade, fewer trades, 4 wins, 2 losses versus 5 and 3, less of a return, but in my mind, a stronger trade because it has that AI component. I believe it's kurtosis 1 year greater than one. So that's the trade that I'm interested in. You'll note that not only does it have a regular DE for the diagonal, but it also has deer for just a long call. And we're going to get to that in a minute. So I click on DEAI, and of course, the first thing we must do is make sure we're on the current end date. So I click on one of the test lengths, and we see 4 and 2, percent wins 67%, percent return 69.6, not bad. I then quickly go down. I look at the 2 year, 2 and 0, nice percent return. 1 year still has a win, 1 and 0, good percent return. And lately I've been checking this 6 month as well. All right, still has one, same results as the 1 year. And it's a good trade. I'm not terribly excited about it, but it's good. Skew 1 year is above one, kurtosis 1 year is above one. That's part of the technical open conditions. For the newer people, if you want to see, well, first of all, if you want to see well, let's look at the technical open conditions first. So you go down to open trade, technical open, click on that, and you'll see there are two conditions: stock above SMA 50 and kurtosis 1 year above one. And we save that, and it'll quickly rerun the back test. We want to see the details of the TM diagonal special. We see that for this trade, it's a diagonal. So our long call, 50 delta, is going to be in the expiration closest to 14 days. And our short call, which is going to be a 30 delta, is going to be in the 7-day DTE or closest to it. And since I'm a platinum member, I not only get during the day, is it still triggered or not, which is a beautiful thing, but it'll also show suggested options. In this case, we want to be long the February 16 expiration 395 call, short the Feb 9 402.5 call. All right, so that's just a starting point. We can vary that. This is 7.5 points wide. I'm not sure how much this spread is going to cost. It's going to be a debit. But let's see if I can throw my trading software, Tasty Trade, up here. All right. So I originally looked at the 395 in Feb 16 and selling the 402.5 in the Feb 9. This was closest to 14 and 7. It's 15 and 8. And it was the width of the strikes is 7.5 points. The cost of that spread, I'm not going to do it over again right now, was 870. So my debit was going to be larger than the width of the strikes. I like that to be the reverse. I like my debit to be less than the width of the strikes. So I went a little bit in the money for the long. It's now 10 points wide, 392.5, 402.5, and the cost is approximately 990. So just inside the width of the spreads. I'm not terribly excited about that. If it was $7.50, $8, I feel much happier. But it's still a good, and it's a good possible trade. So I'm going to minimize that. We go back to the Today tab very quickly, and we go down to, we just did the 14-day diagonal year with the AI component. Now we're going to take a look, because I'm always looking for alternatives, at the pre-earnings 14-day long call. Click on that. It's got a higher return, better win rate. Let's see what the details look like. Right. So the first thing we do again is we fix that last day. Now, because I'm a platinum member, I get to see whether it's triggered or not right now. This is still in development, but close to being finished. And also that show options component. There's one little glitch that Jason and the team are working on. You'll recall that from the Today tab, it was 6 wins, 2 losses, and 75% wins. And now all of a sudden it's 6 and 3. So the last loss really isn't a loss. And if you click on the tile, you see all the trades. I'll go to the last page and you'll see the current page. And what it's doing is showing that the trade is still open. It's the same day. The only thing that's changed, since it uses the end of day option price for the price, is the commissions. So it's showing a negative $5 and it's adding 1 to the losses column. But we know it's not a loss. So it's a glitch right now. The record really is 6 and 2, and it looks better than the long call diagonal. So I'm very quickly going to go through 2 years and 1 year, 4 and 1, 313 return, 1 year. It's really 1 and 0 because that one loss is what I just showed you, that $5 loss. And 6 months will probably be the same thing. Right. So we go back to 3 years and I can move the pictures down. Beautiful. Because what I want to highlight is 2 things. If you're a newer user, you're only seeing the long 40 delta call. If we go over to the name of the stock and we get rid of that comma and we click enter, you're going to see 5 boxes. And you're going to see 60, 50, 40, 30, 20. Now you can set these to any delta that you like. You click on this little icon, I forgot what the boys called it, and it lets you set some things. Set the number of contracts, the default is 5. Set how you want to assume execution. I always do mid-market. Add any trading fees that you want. The default is 50 cents per contract. And here's the important thing, strategy deltas. You can use your own deltas. You click that. And if there's only one leg in the option strategy, it'll just go across the top line. So it's preset to 60, 50, 40, 30, and 20. I can reset that to, I want to see the 10 delta instead of the 20 delta. And then I click save, and it very quickly will go through those 5 different deltas. And you'll see then instead of this being 20, it's now showing the 10. All right. So I like these results. I would probably go with the 40 delta call It's 6-2, 75% win rate. And because the return is so much higher, I believe it was only double digits in the diagonal, I would probably go with this. But Deere is a $393 stock. Hopefully, it's going to be over $400 very soon. And I want to see what a long call spread result is going to look like. So very quickly, I'm going to go back and make this, okay. I'm going to make this 20 again. I'm going to look at the, now, because there are two legs to the option trade, we're going to use the entire column. So I want to look at the 2010 delta call spread. I want to look at the 3010 delta call spread. I want to look at the 40-20 delta call spread, 50-30, and 60-40. You more experienced traders know how to do this, so I'm probably boring you, but I'll be as quick as I can. All right, now I had been on the call. Now I'm going to go down and just click on call spread. We've already clicked on long, so we're going to see what the long call spreads look like. They look pretty good to me. And we're looking at the 3-year. We'll check the 2-year very quickly. Still very good. The 1-year, it's
While
1 and
that's
0.
loading, Max, I just wanted to pop in and say, um, for anybody watching that's newer, for the annual members that are getting the trigger now, it's a little more vibrant in regular TradeMachine. Max has different settings on his personal computer. So it's going to show up in green. It's going to be very, very obvious that it's triggered. I just wanted everybody to know, especially the new people joining us, that it is very easy to see and it's definitely simplifying what TradeMachine can do.
Oh,
Before
yeah,
you had to actually look for to make sure it was still triggered. Now we're just telling you it's triggered.
right. Very good. So you can see that even the 1-year results and the 6-month results are good. Keep in mind this loss really isn't a loss, so it's 1-0 and 46.9 is actually, I think, a little higher than the long call diagonal. So I'm going to go back to 3 years, and I want to just do one other quick thing. I see I've spent too much time on this already, but this is the earnings event is 2:15 before the market opens. The long expiration is 16 days, and it's 15 days from today. So what I like to do, especially when I'm paying a debit and buying something, I like to look at shorter expirations because it'll be a cheaper trade. So I look at 15 days to expiration, which is the Feb 16 date, which is right after when this earnings event for Deere will take place. And you'll have to trust me. The results are slightly higher, and it results in a less costly trade. And it's still after the earnings event. So I'm going to new share, going back to my trading software. I'm assuming everybody sees it.
You got it.
All right, and now I'm going to go to the 15-day. And I'm going to, I guess I got to make this a little bigger. I'm going to clear that, and you're going to see what I put on in this account. I did one in this account just to show that what I ended up doing was the 400, 420 call spread. And I ended up paying about 575. The price went up a little bit. And you'll see that it's a smaller trade. The long call diagonal was going to cost 991. So it's almost half. It's only half or a little more than half. And my objective is always to have smaller trades that I potentially can put on multiples of. I would put on 2 of these for every one of those long call diagonals. I went with this one. It's a 20-point wide width of the strikes. I'm paying 585. It's almost a 4-to-1 return to risk. And I like this trade better than the diagonal. Now, I could have done the diagonal for a week, and then when that short call came off, I could have put on a spread, but I decided to do it this way. And I believe that it makes the points that I wanted to make about today's trade that I focused on. So I'm going to go back to the screen. I think it's that one. And go back to the Today tab. All right. And that concludes the discussion of the trade I did today. I'm only 8 minutes over the 15 minutes I wanted to spend. Oh, we started at 7:01, so I only went 7 minutes over. So
There
let's
you
look at the
go.
chat. Let's look at the chat and see
Do you want me to read for you?
whatever you prefer, because I can do it.
It's up to you.
Okay,
I'm here
you
to help.
read. I'll do it. I'll do it. You relax until I get in trouble again. Good evening, howdy. Glad to be here. Nice to have you here. What is kurtosis? Very good question. Kurtosis talks about the fatness of the tails. There is a definition of kurtosis. And let's see, I don't want to, let's go back to the deer trade. We're going to go down to the technical open again. And you can see, if I move this little chat out of the way, that one of the technical open conditions is the 1 year kurtosis or tailedness of the stock returns is above 1. And right here, learn more about kurtosis.
I will throw in that we also, in addition to where Max showed you how to get the definition of kurtosis, we have Learn tab articles available, as well as a pretty lengthy video that Ophir made when we introduced kurtosis that goes into a lot more detail.
Yes. And not only that, we have a Learn tab that will get you to some of those videos, if not all of them. All right. So anyway, that's where you're going to find all the details of kurtosis. My simple definition is the fatness of the tails. And if it's a positive number, it means the positive tail is kind of fat. It's kind of wide. All right. Let's see. What is kurtosis? Set date. Thank you, Larry. I think I did all the time. If I didn't, I apologize. It did not change the results, though. Yes, the return shown is the total return across all backtests. So to compare return percentage, you consider the number of backtests when comparing across strategies, for example. Yeah, yeah. Ophir always looks at the average return rather than the total return. I didn't. I thought I was already in the weeds, so I didn't show the average return. But yeah, you can look at the average return across different strategies as well. In the comparisons that I did, they were very close. The average winning trade was like 58 to 67%. That's how it varied between the long call diagonal and the long call and the long call spread. And if you want to see an example of one, you can see, let me move this thing down. When you click on the tile, it'll give you the details, not only the individual trades, but it'll tell you the average win, the average winning percentage in comparison to the average loss percentage. I always like to see that pretty close. I don't want to see a 3-digit loss and only a 2-digit average win. So some people would just compare the average winning percentage. All right, we'll close that. We'll move the chat back up and let me make this a little bigger. Is the dark mode available to other members yet? Yeah, for TradeMachine it is. You see this little moon? If you click on it, it'll fluctuate between the moon and the sun. Now, I have um, I have set a dark background for my computer in Windows, and that's why you're not going to see any difference between the sun mode and the moon on my screen. But if you play with that on your screen, you should see a difference. If not, you can do what I did, which is go to Windows and create a dark background for everything. All right, let's go back to the Today tab. So if we enter a trade based on the recommendation after a few days, if the situation changes, does TradeMachine generate an exit signal? How will we know that we have entered the trade and track the exit? Well, if you've entered the trade, you should know and you want to know that you have an active trade on that you should check periodically. TradeMachine is not going to let you know that an exit condition has been met unless you set it. So you could do that. Let's do fade to dip. Let me move this out of the way. Did not want to do that. All right. So let's do a fade to dip on Apple. It'd be nice if I spelled it correctly. All right. I left the comma out. So let's move this up. Let's close this. Let's keep it simple. Put the comma back. All right. It's 40-30 stock. The technical open is stock must have crossed over the 200-day moving average and a couple of other conditions. You can go in and create an alert. Well, let's see. The easiest way to do this is let's go to technical open. Let's we're going to create a new alert and we're going to get rid of these. We're just going to keep it simple. And we want to close this trade. We want to get an alert that tells us that the stock has now gone back below the SMA 200. So that's what we're going to save. That's the condition. It's not active at this time, which is good because we want it to be active to open. And then we're going to go to add alert. And for Apple, we want to be told when the stock crosses below the 200 SMA. And we're going to make a little note that says, well, we can say Apple. AAPL now below 200 SMA, close, fade, a dip, trade. And then we add the alert. And that alert is now created. And we can double check and make sure it's there by just typing AAPL. And we'll click on last created. And you'll see the brand new alert that I just created. Email will be sent to my email address, created today. Apple now below 200 SMA, close, fade to dip trade. There it is.
You can also set those alerts for calendar dates. A lot of my stock trades, I will set a calendar date to close. So it will just alert you. You can put your personal stuff in there too. If you want a text reminder that says, go
Amanda's
pick up
birthday.
groceries.
Amanda's birthday is whatever that date is. Yes, thank you so much, Amanda. That's why this is the Amanda and Max Trade Machine After Dark show. She knows this stuff. All right, so we just answered that one. Does the release of employment data affect your thinking on these trades? Release of employment data, I don't know that that's going to bother John Deere. So it didn't really concern me. If I had a SPY or a QQQ trade on, I might be more concerned. I also wasn't that concerned about the fact that Amazon, Apple, and Meta were reporting tonight, the night before tomorrow's trading. Um, I didn't think that any of them were going to be introducing a new tractor, so I didn't think that would affect John Deere as well. If I did, I'd wait until the start of trading tomorrow morning and do a 13 days before earnings event trade. All right. Sony triggered yesterday, but today Sony is not triggered. Is that trade no longer valid? Well, I took that Sony trade yesterday and I thought it was up today. But let's take a look at the Today tab and see if it's on there or not. So that was all 14-day trade. There it is. See that it triggered yesterday. So let's click on it, see what it says.
We can zoom in on the chart and look at the close price, but first
Yes.
we'll need to update the date.
Oh man, I am so bad. I tell people you must update the date, and then I don't do it. I'm not perfect. I am not perfect. All right. So Jason showed me that if you go down to this little thing that looks like I don't know what it is, but trash can, and you spread it out, and then you go back up to the price data, it's very easy to get to that last day, he says. All right.
Zoom in a little bit more.
Okay.
I
I'm
find
going.
going in really, really tight, it makes it easier to see all of the triggers.
Okay.
Sometimes those candles are hard to identify.
Let's go. Let's see if this works. All right. Amanda, once again, you are the expert. All right. So today is February 1st. Um, the 50 EMA is, the 50 SMA is 92.54. It did, yeah, it's 98.89. So like I said, it's after hours, and I don't think that it's reflecting the accurate information because the only technical open is stock greater than the SMA 50, and the stock is greater than the SMA 50.
Is there any specified earnings handlings?
Well, it should be 14 and 1, right? So custom earnings, 14, open a position 14 days before, close 1 day before, nothing else is checked. So it's still active, my opinion. And I think if I had checked it during the day, it would say that it's still active, unless it's just part of the development that they haven't finished yet. But I'm pretty comfortable that it's still active. All right.
I'll monitor that one in the morning.
Okay, thank you. Let me know so I can let the community know. Wow,
Do.
we got some, we got some big questions. I just want to make sure. Okay, so that was a Sony question. On my version, I can't change the expiration. Will that be coming? I've always been able to set the end date. Is that what you mean by the expiration?
I think that question is referring to the DTE settings. And if you're looking at a custom strategy like Max has up right now, those settings are within the custom strategy, but all others you should be able to set the DTE. If you're having problems with that,
Right,
email
right.
support.
If you're just like the long call was only using the basic strategies down this left-hand column here. So we were using call and long. I guess it's covered up now. We were using long call, and then I did long call spread. And by doing that, the basic strategy, not a custom strategy or a CML strategy, I'm able to set the days to expiration to any day I want. If it says custom, then you have to do it through clicking on the strategy to change the dates, which I can quickly show you. And clicking edit on the QATM diagonal special. And I can go long a 50 delta call, and I can make this 18 days if I want and add that. And then I can delete the 14-day one. I'm not going to save it because I don't want to mess up the strategy. So I'm going to cancel it, but you can change the expiration dates of the options. Okay, that was the expiration question. Are there any strategies that you have tested where you trade just two, three stocks over and over again, and you're in and you're out on a weekly basis or every other week, strategies that have more occurrences than 20 or less every 3 years, maybe 20 over the course of a year, for example, trading channels or horizontal support or resistance, etc. Most of my trades are not that short. I have done some experimenting in the community. I've shared some trades on SPY and QQQ that are 1 DTE that have very liberal, I consider, opening conditions. But you can create custom alerts and strategies for anything that you want. Um, so you can definitely do that. You can create an alert for a strategy that opens regardless of any technical open conditions, and you'll get a new potential trade every day. Then you can look at your chart or your other technical um, criteria that you want to use and see if it makes sense for you to open a trade that day. Okay, for strong stocks that have pulled back and you are looking for a good entry point, do you have any more strategies besides the one you have on your today alerts or backtest that might yield more results? Can you give an average gain or loss per trade in the backtest? Yeah, I click on the Sony one, and your average win percentage, your average win as a percent is 39% of the money that you were risking. Your average loss is that it's that $3, so it's a zero. So you can always see what the average win percent, average percent win, and the average win amount on the backtest tab by just clicking on the details. And you can set up alerts like, besides what's on the Today tab, we have some canned saved backtests that I know Amanda was just waiting to tell us about.
Yep, you beat
Oops.
me to it.
And some of these, you experiment with them. You'll see all the technical conditions for technical open, and if there are any technical close conditions, and you can put portfolios of stocks in there. You can put whatever specific tickers you want to play, whatever you consider a strong stock. You can build a portfolio of strong stocks. You'll see that right here, TradeMachine provides the NASDAQ 100, the Dow 30, and then a whole bunch of sectors. And then software stocks and top ETFs, the Magnificent Seven, mega banks. You can select a strategy for that you want to backtest with any set of stocks that you want. You have a strategy, a backtest on selling puts with low delta. Yeah, once again, you can set all that up and find the right delta that works for you and the right combination of low delta, selling puts, selling put spreads on stocks that have certain conditions that you're interested in. It's very liberal about what you can create. If you don't just like these initial long call, short call, long calls, long put, short put, and these, you can create almost any combination of custom strategies that you like. You're going to get personal alerts for the custom strategies that you create alerts for. You're not going to see them on the Today tab. And no, you cannot just set the Today tab to be your stocks. You can get alerts via email or text messages to your phone. You can set up any portfolio you like. If you're a regular monthly subscriber, I believe the limit size of your portfolio is 50 stocks. If you're a platinum member, I believe it's 200 now, Amanda?
Um, it's 100, I believe. It might be 200.
Okay.
I will double
All
check
right.
on that. It is
Okay.
definitely 50 for monthly users.
Right.
Plus, annual users also get faster backtesting speeds. So it loads significantly faster if you are an
Right.
annual member.
Right. And I believe Jason mentioned at the last Zoom that um, the actual potential option strikes to use may only, at least initially, only be available to platinum members and not available to uh, the regular monthly users because there's a significant cost involved.
That
So,
is absolutely correct, Max. We
right.
are evaluating kind of usage and everything during this beta testing that we have with our platinum users to see what that's going to look like and see what is going to roll forward. We definitely know that the triggered now is going to all users, and probably in the very, very near future, all users will see that part of it, but maybe not the
Okay.
options chain data.
Right. And the default is come into community and ask me, and I'll tell you what Trade Machine says, and I'll tell you what Max says, because sometimes I might be slightly different than what the options that Trade Machine is recommending. So here you see, I clicked on OK. I'm not holding Trade Machine responsible for the options they're about to recommend. But here you can see a sample for what we were talking about at the start. Deer, the diagonal, getting long the Feb 16 395 call, selling the Feb 9 402.5 call. Is there a trading style that we can do for small accounts? Trading for joint accounts with minors, you can't write or buy any options. The only thing you're allowed to do is covered calls. All right. I'm not recommending any trading brokerage software, but there is at least one that gives you more capability, I believe, even in joint accounts with minors. So I don't know what platform you're using. I'm not supposed to be recommending any. Um, but I believe you saw what trading software I was using. I would talk to those people. They're pretty liberal. I know for retirement accounts, they let you do almost anything. I don't have a joint account with a minor, so I don't know what their rules are, but I bet they're as liberal as possible. Are a lot of these indicators self-fulfilling because they are used by so many traders? We just have to figure out which technical indicators are the most used. That's a subjective question. I know that for the Today tab, any of the strategies on there, or for any of these save backtest strategies, that they've gone through thousands of tests with different groupings of stocks across different time frames, and they have relevance and significance. Are most of these indicators lagging? Yeah, most indicators are lagging. Is there any way instead of looking at the daily technical backtest, you want a shorter time frame? Well, Trade Machine uses for the backtest the end of day data, so it's daily data. Now, during the day, it will look at the real time price and technical open conditions, and see if an alert is triggered and give us an early heads up and let us know as late as 3:45 if it's still active. But Trade Machine is based on end of day daily data. Someone is saying the name of another. Oh, I believe it's the same person. I'm not mentioning any names. But if that's what if that's your current trading software TradeStation, like I said, you may want to consider, at least for that account, some other trading software that might be more liberal in what you can do. But for small accounts, I I look at spreads. I don't know about the restrictions of joint accounts with minors, but spread it off. Stay with stocks that are, $20 to $60, $75. Don't look to put on um, uh, long calls in a $400 Microsoft stock, or short, wide put spreads that are going to cost you thousands of dollars in margin required. Okay. I appreciate Amanda being here, and I appreciate all of you people being here. And the next Zoom will be next Tuesday afternoon at 2 o'clock New York time.
Yes, we will see you. It'll be Max and I for the next few weeks while Jason is on paternity leave. So we will see you on Tuesday.
All right. Everyone, enjoy the evening and good trading tomorrow. Good night.